We all go through tough times, but Emerson wrote, "What lies behind you and what lies before you pales in comparison to what lies within you." Your challenges may be great, but your ability is even greater. Now, folks, I feel like I know something about adversity. I know what it's like to lose loved ones. I know what it's like to lose a ton of football games. And I know what it's like to lose most of your city to a horrible natural disaster. But I have also survived enough adversity to know that at the end of every storm, the sun will shine. Folks, the question is not, will you face adversity? The question is, what will you do when you face adversity? Will you get bitter? Will you get better? Will it overcome you, or will you overcome it? So my challenge to all of you is work to be a better leader every day in every way. And every time you do what's right, you're a leader. Every time you do what's hard, you're a leader. In my experience as a player, as a businessman, as a father, the only thing that will sustain you through challenging times is teamwork and leadership. In my mind, the single most important lesson for any quarterback or any business is leadership. All of you are leaders, and that's why you're here today. Leadership is what wins games. It makes a difference in the lives of people. Leadership is an issue that confronts everyone here and everyone in our country. As a matter of fact, a recent Harvard University poll found that 80% of Americans believe that we have a leadership crisis in our country. So for the next few minutes, I would just like to go over a few ideas for personal success. And folks, it really does come down to leadership. A word that is much discussed, but little understood. I love what Margaret Thatcher said. She said, being a leader is a lot like being a lady. If you have to tell people you are one, then you're not one. What makes a leader? How can you be one? Where can you lead? I think there are three ways we can all start being better leaders, right here and right now. Number one, we have to think like a leader. Again, a long, long time ago, when I played college football, I played for a great man and a great coach named Johnny Vaught. 18, 19, 20-year-olds, we pretty much thought we knew it all. You remember that. But Coach Vaught taught us that sometimes our opponents could be bigger, smarter, faster, have greater numbers in their books. But if we would think as winners, then we'd win. Now, what did thinking like winners mean? Well, in Coach Vaught's mind, it meant being better conditioned, better disciplined, harder working, more determined. I went back to a diary that I'd kept. When I finished Ole Miss 1971, I was the second pick in the NFL draft that year, first pick the New Orleans Saints. They weren't real good, or they wouldn't have had the second pick in the draft. But I had played in LSU nearby. I'd played in the Sugar Bowl there. So I went down and all these kind of blaze of glory, very high expectations. And I got a lot of advice. And a common piece of advice I got is people said, Archie, you ought to keep a diary. You're going to write a book someday. I kept a diary my first 10 years as a quarterback in the New Orleans Saints. Then I quit keeping it in fear I might write a book about that someday. But I went back when I began to go speak to these groups, a lot of management groups, marketing groups, sales groups, and so forth. And I think I had a real advantage in that I'd played for the New Orleans Saints, because I got to hear a lot of different coaches give these inspirational talks there. Second, we need to set goals like a leader. I often tell people this is the best day of your life, begin a personal goals program. Even though I grew up in rural Mississippi, I was always a New York Yankees fan. I always loved the New York Yankees. And here's what one of the immortal heroes, Yogi Berra, says about goals. Yogi says, if you don't set goals, you can't regret not reaching them. I think they call that a yogiism, and I guess that's one way to look at it. I look at it a little bit different. If you don't manage your goals, someone else will manage them for you. A company in Texas polled the American people and asked them, did they have goals in their life? 3% said they had written goals. 10% had goals, nothing written. 60% had some general idea of goals. And 27% didn't even know what the question was about. Now, the 3% that had written goals were all successful, regardless of their job or career. The 10% that had goals, nothing written, were moderately successful in their personal lives. The 60% would have to be old John Q. average person in America. And the 27% that knew nothing of goals, knew nothing of success. As you know, a football season really takes a physical toll. These guys now, by this time, the ones that are fortunate to be playing a long, long year. It's a violent game. But also, you know this too, it's a lot of mental anguish that goes on in the game of football. One of the years I was quarterback in the Saints, I don't really like to reflect on this, but it's true. In 1980, I was a quarterback in the Saints. We went 1-15. We lost our first 14 games, won a game, lost our last game, 1-15. And as I said, I really don't like to reflect on that year, but when I do, I have to admit, most of my teammates didn't jump ship. Most of our teammates never stopped fighting. The point I'm trying to make, sometimes in life, success is really a journey and not a destination, and setting goals is a big part of that journey. So set a goal, have a plan. Now you can have setbacks, but you can also overcome setbacks. So always remember to set goals like a leader. Finally, we need to act like a leader. The great management consultant Peter Drucker wants to find the difference between managers and leaders this way. He said managers do things right. Leaders do the right thing. Doing the right thing means caring about your teammates, means putting away the pronoun I, using the pronoun we, means knowing when to stand up and speak, but also when to sit down and listen. And it means sometimes rejecting the way things are and working for the way things ought to be. Ultimately, leadership's about action. It is an action verb. It's not something you are, it's something you do. And every single person here can be a better leader in your job, in your family, in your life.